Hello there. Welcome to my third episode of Wellness Live Deep Dive with Dr. Trishala. And I am so thankful to all of you for giving a huge response to the last two episodes, which I did with Dr. Neha and Dr. Ramesh. So, in case you have missed it, it's right there on my Instagram profile as well as it's uploaded on YouTube. So, let's talk about today's live, because this is something which is very important that I'm seeing very frequently in all my practice. And forget the practice for a bit. I'm seeing a lot of this in the family, in my relatives, and all the kids are going through this. So I will discuss about this topic in a while, but I would like to welcome Dr. Pratiksha, who is the founder and the CEO of One Special Place, and she's an audiologist and a speech therapist. I will let her introduce herself. So just waiting for her to log in. Yeah, I see her join in. Hey, Pratiksha. Pratiksha, can you hear me? Hello, I see you there. Good evening.
Hello, very good evening.
Thank you for joining us, Pratiksha. I'm so glad that after Dubai we are meeting like this.
Yes, absolutely.
That's superb. So I was just introducing you before you joined in. So I want you to take over and just share with us, Pratiksha, what exactly you do at One Special Place, and why is it such a big thing in today's world to have such a therapy platform like this. Over to you.
Right. Thank you, Trishla, and thank you for inviting me for this live today. I'm very excited to be dialing into new people today so that I can share something about speech and language development in children and how important it is these days to be more cognizant about how children are growing and the impact screen time is having on their development. One Special Place is India's first online teletherapy platform wherein we provide different types of therapy services for children as well as adults. And it's a one of a kind platform where you can take therapies right from speech language therapy, occupational therapy, mental health therapy, special education for children with special needs, and even diet and nutrition consultations from your home across the globe with certified therapists. And we have been doing this for more than 9 years now. Wow. And very excited to have served, yes, more than 30,000 families, and with great results. We are having a good night's sleep every day that we are able to make a difference, a positive difference to so many people's lives. So
That's why
that's
all of
what.
us are in this field, right? So that we can just feel that, okay, aaj kuch to difference kiya hai. So
Absolutely.
let's dig into the
Absolutely.
topic, Pratiksha, because this is something which I think even you are seeing a lot.
Yeah.
But I have been seeing this a lot, especially in the pandemic babies. So are you seeing a shift in your practice before pandemic versus after pandemic when it comes to cases like speech therapy or cognitive decline or anything like that?
Yes, I totally agree with you that post-pandemic children have been at home, or we call them as COVID babies. Those toddlers or very young age children who've been at home have had to face the biggest brunt of what COVID brought to the world. They have lived in confined places with very minimal social interaction, and engagement with their parents, or children their age. Because of COVID, they've been confined, they've not met children their age, they've not had that typical way of going to the park, playing with other kids, or starting their preschool on time. And things have, there's been a big shift of doing everything online. And I have seen it maximum with working parents. This problem has taken the maximum toll in nuclear families, where there are few number of family members, and working parents, because they ultimately had to work, while on the other hand, the child or the toddler was left watching the iPad or the screen for times which was much longer than generally specified. So that has resulted, definitely done deep damage in the way children learn to develop language, they learn to talk, they learn to communicate. And we are seeing a big rise in speech and language delays because of excessive screen time, and also this condition called as virtual autism that is on the rise. So we'll
Wow.
talk about that
Yeah,
today.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think, I mean, COVID has affected us so much. Just imagine what a toddler would be going through, especially if they don't know how to talk or how to share their feelings. It's
absolutely.
constant frustration that, keeps building up, not just in kids, but also in the parents who are unable to understand what the kid is trying to tell you. So before we dig into that, I mean, screen time for us is, of course, we are constantly working on our iPads, on our laptops, and I think it's an 24/7 thing for all of us
Yeah,
now. Even if you're not working, we have OTT platforms to binge watch. So the screen
absolutely.
is a part of our lives.
Everywhere.
But when
Yes.
we talk about a toddler, when I'm talking about somebody who's barely 1.5, 2 years old, what does screen time mean to them? And what are the most common devices, or what are the most common content that you see that these kids are actually consuming?
Yeah, so screen time basically refers to, the amount of time a person or a child, a toddler in the case that we are talking today, is devoting to using an electronic device to watch something passively. So it could be a smartphone, it could be an iPad or a tablet, computer, television, and even gaming consoles these days. I see a lot of children indulging in gaming. And so children who are commonly using these devices for various purposes, it all comes under the umbrella of screen time. And excessive screen time definitely has a negative impact on a child's language acquisition and speaking milestones.
Yeah.
So
And you know what I have most commonly seen is, like, whether you go in a restaurant and if somebody is home, I have seen these toddlers literally
yeah,
sit in front of a screen, and they
yeah,
refuse to eat
eat.
anything unless they're getting some kind of visual stimulation. So and only then they're actually eating. So one, of course, from the nutrition point of view, not sure what's actually happening there, but let's talk about from the content and the visual point of view, that what do you normally see, that how are these kids changing, how are their behaviors changing, because they refuse to just eat. They
Yes.
are not, even if it's a 1.5-year-old toddler, the moment you put the screen on, put some any kind of colors in front of the child in any form, and mostly it's the screen, because like you said, we're all working people,
Yeah,
right? So वो
yeah,
सबसे easy काम है हमारे लिए कि फोन
right.
चालू करके दे दो, and at least बच्चे ने खाना खा लिया.
खाना खा लिया,
So
right.
how is that affecting? Because I have seen that the kids are very frustrated, even if they're a 2-year-old. I mean, they're unable to express, unable to tell what's going on with them. So how is it actually affecting all this whole visual stimulation thing, specifically talking about the age group from 1 to 4?
4 and 5. Yes, so I agree totally with you, Dr. Trishla, that there are parents are using screens as babysitters. I need to go to a shop, so if I'm shopping, my child will be sitting in the shopping mall somewhere watching a phone,
Yeah.
YouTube on the phone, or very commonly we've seen that people come to restaurants to eat together. and they're not together. The child is still busy on the iPad, and the husband wife are just having dinner. So yes, we this is hugely affected children in various ways. There is reduced interaction, and when a child is constantly watching the screen, he is not finding that time to interact with the elders around him
Yeah.
or his communication partners. And um, during this reduced interaction, there is reduced verbal exchange of ideas. He's not paying attention to how and what type of words the parents are using, what is the language being spoken in the house, how those words have to be spoken. Because if you compare it with a child with, maybe 10 years ago, when there was not as much screen time as
Yeah.
it is now. Children, in a healthy environment, they would play with the parents, or they would talk, they would sing songs and rhymes, and that facilitated very healthy interaction, a two-way interaction among the parents and the child. So the child looks up to the parent, he or she sees the visual verbal clues, how to speak certain words, and generally by listening skills picks up vocabulary, how to make sentences, and deep down, cognitively also, the screens are affecting the brain development, because there's excessive screen time is taking the child, I think we will touch upon sleep issues and
Yes.
disturbance in circadian rhythms. So all that is having a huge impact. So there's reduced interaction, there's limited vocabulary exposure, the child is not understanding the sort of language that is healthy for the for that age, and there is reduced social interaction. There's no exchange of ideas. Children are not picking up enough social
Yeah.
clues, how to react in a certain
Yeah.
situation. Then there is reduced attention span, because the graphics in the screens, they move so
Exactly.
quickly, and you want to go from one video to the other video. And with everything, our attention spans are reducing, and there's a lot of research on this as well. And the way, if you see certain YouTube videos, they're just trying to market their products. I see a lot of children watching these toy videos,
Yeah.
modeling of toys and playing, and I don't see any constructive language that's coming out of that video.
That's so
um,
true.
Yes, and all the child is just thinking about, buying that toy,
Yeah.
or if it's a younger child, they are getting addicted because of the nature of the graphics that are presented on the screen. And then there's delayed language milestones, because the child has lost out on that time which could have been used for more meaningful interaction. And yeah, these are the few things. And sometimes I feel there is a lot of inappropriate content also, which a little, the kids who are around
Yeah.
5, 6,
No
because there's
matter
no
how
co-viewing.
much child lock you do, I think
No, no,
even if you have like all advanced filters on the phone, I think
yeah,
the inappropriate content could be anything, right? For a 2 year old, if you're seeing something which a 6 or 7 year old is
yes,
ideally the age group that they should see,
yes,
it's inappropriate for them as well. And
absolutely,
I don't know if you've noticed this, but kids like specific songs. They
yes,
like specific visuals. The moment you take that song or you take that video away, they literally start crying until you put
yes,
that back on.
yes,
And I've also seen parents doing this very commonly, that if you finish your food, I'll get you this
huh,
toy which is shown in the video. So there's somewhere this
yeah,
reward
very
mentality that the parents are actually unknowingly transferring it to the child. And I think it's changing a lot when they're trying to do so. When they're trying to interact with human beings, they actually run away to a screen. So if
yes,
you're trying to talk to the child or you're trying to call the child, the moment you switch your phone on, the child is actually attracted to you. And the
yeah,
moment you switch off the phone, the child is back to where the child wants to be. So
yes,
this is also the kind of screen addiction that I'm seeing in kids 1.5, 2. And
yes,
what's worse is that even if they turn 3, 3.5, 4, they're unable to talk. they
Yes.
are unable to make sentences. So
Sentences.
is that
Yeah.
something that you are seeing very often also, that the speech development, which ideally should be done by 2.5 years old, that's the milestone, kids are not really able to reach there even at 4 or 5. They are unable to frame sentences.
Yes, absolutely. So, framing sentences is a very, on the top of the hierarchy of language development,
Yes.
which normally should start happening we say by the age of 2, a child should form a
Yes.
short phrase by joining two words like mama,
Yeah.
come, pani, de do. And
Yeah.
by 2, we want the child to have developed sufficient single words so that he or she starts joining.
So by 2, right?
Yes.
Yeah, for our
But
viewers, by 2.
we will be sharing milestones, and I'll
Yes.
be giving some more authentic links where everybody can go
Yeah.
and check. But that's not happening. The number of so what happens, it's forming sentences, Dr. Trishla, is like the stage 6 of speech.
Yeah.
So first comes learning to speak all sounds, all the k kh g gh, like we have in Hindi or the English alphabet. All the sounds that are uttered from the mouth, they start from as young as 6 months. So
Wow.
there's a stage called as cooing and babbling. So that's how the child is exploring the oral cavity to come up with a variety of sound combinations, gaga, goo goo, and baba baba,
Hmm.
and that's how the child starts picking up the different sounds, starts speaking them, and side by side, the baby is also toddler is also listening to all the language that is around him or her. So the more you play with the baby at that time, he or she would be picking up a lot of language. So then, after 1 year, by 18 months, we say, the child should have, ideally, we say by 12 to 15 months, first word should have meaningful word. मतलब mama को देख के mama बोलना है, papa को देख के papa बोलना है. That's sort of a milestone we are looking at. They should have achieved first word, ideally by the first birthday or 2-3 months hence. Meaningful word. And then it goes down, as I told you, by 2 short phrases, by 3 longer sentences. So to reach that stage of longer sentences, the child has to cross all these steps, right? Which he or she is not crossing because all the rich time where the parent or the family member, the caregiver, could have interacted with the child, that has been lost
Yeah.
out. So there's loss of time, there's loss of interaction, and there are other side effects like we talked about, addiction to the screen. So all those things also come into play.
Yeah, and I mean, like when we are talking, I'm actually having visuals of seeing the kids around in the family everywhere. That this is just becoming like another epidemic, which we
Yeah,
are not really understanding. Just because COVID had physical symptoms, we were dying, so we were
yeah,
actually having all our attention there. But
yeah.
what about this? Because this is literally like saying that the child, we are actually having the first birthday on the 5th year of the life, right? Because that's when the entire speech, cognitive
It comes.
decline, everything is happening. So
Absolutely.
ऐसा जो 1 साल में होना चाहिए था वो अब 5 साल में हो रहा है. So we are
बहुत लेट, बहुत
literally
लेट.
wasting that 5 years
And
of the most crucial time, right?
absolutely. So it is like we say, the brain is plastic, or there's heightened
Yeah.
neuroplasticity from birth to 6 years of age. So that means, like in common language, that means the brain is so actively developing with new neural connections happening by the day. Like, if growing typically, children actually, they pick up hundreds of words in a month.
Yeah.
From 1 to 2, when they're saying mama papa, they start singing nursery rhymes. By many children do that. So you can
Yeah.
imagine the amount of vocabulary expansion and the repertoire that gets developed, and all that is happening because the brain is it's like sponge. Whatever you're
Yeah.
throwing at it, it's picking up. And
Yeah.
hence 0 to 5, we say, is the early years, the very most crucial years of the brain development. They have to be capitalized and not lost away. And screen time has become, a big hindrance in that healthy development of brain. And it doesn't only stop there. There's also something called as mental health in children. because like you mentioned, their behaviors are going all erratic because they are so addicted to the screen, and everything in their life is revolving around screen. So it's actually a serious thing.
It's a very serious
It's a
thing,
serious
which I
thing.
think, needs to be addressed, because poor parents are also not understanding how to tackle this, especially the
Yeah,
new moms, new
yeah,
dads.
yeah,
It's a complete brand new experience for their life, right? So
absolutely.
anybody who's having the babies in the last 3-4 years, if it's their first baby, they've been in the tech generation.
Yeah.
Everything is AI based, right? And also this recent research which was done on this very popular song Coco Melon, about how it is affecting and creating a complete havoc on the kids. So and then they recommended a certain timeline of how much kids should actually watch the Coco Melon video on YouTube. So uh, is there a thing like this, Pratiksha, that there is a specific time that you should give the kids, maybe 2 minutes, 5 minutes, and then take it away from them? Is there any
Yeah.
guideline around that, that how much of this content these toddlers, I'm talking about 1 to 5 year old, can actually consume?
Yes, absolutely. So, a gold standard that we observe is by the guidelines by the American Academy of Pediatrics. And they recommend, I mean, you will be surprised when I tell you the number that they give. So, they've given very beautiful guidelines and how, you can manage screen time. So, I'm referring to the same. The American Academy of Pediatrics, they tell that children under 18 months of age, they should have no screen time.
No screen time.
No, no screen time. But they can, I mean, this is a guideline, they can use screen time with a parent to talk to a relative on FaceTime, or on,
Right.
like a video, like a WhatsApp video call or
Yeah.
a Zoom call. Because if they are away from their grandparents, or if they are away from the
Yeah.
parents for some reason, so that's how they can indulge in like a quick short talk to connect. Again, the whole basis is connection,
Yeah.
engagement with the family. So below 18 months, they say no screen time, and only supervised screen time for talking to relatives over the phone. The next is between 18 to 24 months. That's, we're talking about 1.5 years to 2 years of age. They say again it has to be highly co-viewed, so they can watch some educational content videos with the parents. That too not a lot, like one video maximum half an hour. And then they talk about the third important age group where the language is exploding, speech is exploding, that is 2 to 5 years of age. They say that maximum 1 hour on a weekday, and over the weekend, the entire weekend, both the days, Saturday, Sunday included, 3 hours. So
What happens
ideally,
on a weekend? I mean, do we
we
have a different body on a
it's
weekend?
like, because I think parents are at home, and the child is not going to the preschool, or the child is not away, away from the
Yeah.
regular daily day-to-day activities. So yeah, so these are the guidelines. I mean, it is
Wow.
zero, or it is just a little bit co-view, with the parent, and then
Yeah.
it is only 1 hour. And there also they specifically mention to take care of the type and the quality
Quality.
of what is being viewed. Is it adding anything to the child's vocabulary? So, I have seen both extremes. I am a parent myself, I have two children, and I have used screen time for my, I would say, as a tool to enhance my children's vocabulary. And there are such good
Wow.
things also out there.
That's
So
true.
it's about how to use technology in your favor. I think that's a very important thing.
Yeah. That's a very important thing, and I think it's in every field, because um, this is something which, see, you are handling most of the toddlers, but by the time they reach I mean, they're getting early puberty, which
Yeah,
was which was
yeah,
15, 16,
uh,
17 earlier. Now I'm
yeah,
seeing as young as 6, 7, 8.
yeah,
In fact, I had a 6-year-old girl in the last 1 month that actually started getting her menstrual cycle. So, this is really very, very distressing for a
it
child.
really is disturbing.
But also, when I had to look back at the kind of lifestyle she had for the last 6 years, was pretty terrible. I mean, that girl had to go through so much, and all she was eating was the junk food, and that is all that was given. And her
Absolutely.
sleep schedule was, I mean, both of us wouldn't have studied so much in our medicine that this girl was doing in first 6 years of her life. She was sleeping at around 1:32, watching videos on YouTube, waking up whenever she wanted. So by the time she was 6, not just she got a menstrual cycle, but she was also having pre-diabetes, and that was completely lifestyle related. So I was trying to coach the parents about the screen time and the sleep, because I thought that, before nutrition, sleep is one of the biggest things for these growing
Absolutely.
child. So this was very bizarre. Of course, it was not surprising for me at all, because I'm seeing the graph of these kids. But how is the screen time actually affecting their cognitive behavior, their mental health, and something, like how is it affecting their sleep? Like hormonal correlation, yes, we probably can understand, but what about the cognitive connection to this, Pratiksha?
Yeah, so it's very simple logic. Any parent who's watching this would understand that, before bedtime, if we are engaging into excessive screen time, so before bedtime is, as soon as you're watching and then you're asking the baby to go to sleep, or you're using screen time as a tool to, motivate them to go to sleep, or whatever you're using it for, it is not healthy, because there's something called as blue rays that are emitted from these devices
Blue
that
lights, yeah.
have a direct connection with the melatonin production in the brain.
Production, yeah.
Yes, which helps in putting, there's a light and dark cycle, so the sleep cycle. And if that hormone that is not produced enough, the child would not go to sleep. And if the child is not going to sleep, there would be an improper balance of the child taking rest. And we say that sleep is so important for the brain, because that is the time when deep memories are formed, the brain takes rest,
Growth
and
phase.
it, yes, absolutely, and all the regeneration happens during sleep.
Yeah.
But because the child is not able to shut down completely, that affects the cognitive development, the brain development, basically. And when the brain is not developing in a natural healthy way, that affects the cognition. Cognition is nothing but the power to analyze and reason out and think creatively.
Yeah.
So
And
that's how.
that's also affecting their mood when they're growing up, right? So
Absolutely.
somebody who's happy, cheerful, meeting people, feeling good, versus somebody who's grumpy, wants to be on his own,
Yeah.
wants to be stuck in the room, doesn't really want to socialize, meet more people. So this is also developing into that. It's not just about their memory or how much they're scoring in the school. When we talk about cognitive, it's not about how well your child is excelling in school or whether he's getting 100 on 100. No, it's not that. We're talking about how the child is dealing with your life challenges. And life challenges will start as soon as you're born, right?
Absolutely.
So how are you dealing with it? What is the hunger time? When are you actually feeling hungry? When the baby has to cry? When the baby has to say? I think there's a huge disconnect. There's a huge mind body disconnect, which is starting at a very, very early age.
Early age.
And that's
I
getting
agree.
transformed into huge lifestyle disorders. And I think, I used to cater to the population after 25, when they're in the office, when they have stressful situations, etc. Now these kids, I'm seeing as young as 6 7 year old, and I'm coaching them about what to eat so that their sugar levels doesn't spike. And that's heartbreaking for me, because this could all be reversible. This could all be protected. Your child could have been given a better environment which doesn't have so much visual stimulation. I'm not saying go back to the era where you're completely eradicating the telehealth or the telemedicine. Like you said, there are a lot of cons to that also. But it's not about that. But what about finding the balance between these things is something I think most of the new parents are going through. And probably that's also coming because they're unable to understand that how to balance the entire life, so that we can provide more to the child. So when we're talking about communication, because that's what is the biggest gap that I'm seeing between the parents and the child. that
Yeah.
what the parents are trying to say to the child is unable to grasp it or understand it if it's coming from mother, father, and they're really struggling to establish that connect so that कि
Connection.
ये एक बहुत कॉमन सेंटेंस मुझे सुनने आता है कि बच्चे तो सुनते ही नहीं है, इनको हम कितना भी बोल दें ये हमारी बात ही नहीं सुन रहे हैं. एंड दिस इज अबाउट अ 4-5 year old की ये तो बिना स्क्रीन के खाएगा ही नहीं और ये टैंट्रम फेंकेगा और ये पूरा दिन भूखा रहेगा, ये हमारी बात सुन नहीं रहे. So this is a lot to do with the communication gap. So what do you think about that, Pratiksha? That where is this developing? I mean, you did touch upon this when we started the
Yeah.
live about the whole communication part between the parents and the child. But if we had to go a little bit more deep into this, in understanding the communication aspect, what do you think is going on? How do you think we can improve or stop this? What are the practical tips to deal with it?
Yeah, so I think we have to go down very basic in helping children who are finding it hard to connect with parents. Firstly, the first thing that I would say is at whichever stage you are as a parent, first understand what do you want from the child, and are you actually being a role model for
Yeah.
your child? I think we tend to blame our children for things that we've done many a times. So are we also addicted to our screens? I mean, I see parents equally, addicted to their phones, and then they comment that our child is not listening to us. So I think that is one thing that we need to be very cognizant about. What are we good role models? Number one. Number two,
Self-reflection.
absolutely, it's very
Yeah.
important. So be a good role model. Number two, spend time with the child. So it's important that you have maybe a no screen zone in the house, that okay, in this room or in this area we're not going to bring any phones or iPads or tablets, computers, etc. So have that plan of a no
Boundary.
screen zone. Yes, important. Thirdly, you can have a no screen time also. So you make rules for your family where you are explicitly telling and behaving, being an equal partner, that okay, this is a meal time and then we are not going to have any screens. Sometimes we are so much in a hurry that bacha kuch to khayega. We start linking their nutrition with screen ki nahi chalo one roti only, let him eat, it's okay. No,
Yeah.
it's not okay. It's not okay, because you are setting wrong standards. One day it is okay, then again the next day it will become like that. So we need to break that cycle somewhere.
Maybe
And
the child
I think
is not hungry. I mean, that's what I see that kids start doing is कि भूख नहीं है तो भी they're constantly eating just because they have developed this habit कि खाना ही है, वो एक रोटी तो खानी है. I think maybe talking to the child about बेटा आपको भूख है नहीं है, it's still a meal
absolutely,
time, let's sit with the family, let's talk
absolutely.
about it, and maybe then we can see how to establish a better connect.
Absolutely. I see a lot of mom guilt that plays a role here.
I'm not a
And how the
mom, so I cannot
Indian
understand.
Indian society is very, very overpowering, and we have a lot of stigmas which we should also touch upon about physical health of your child. Mota nahi hai, itni patla bachcha hai. We have a lot of that as well. So the mothers are so frustrated. Oh, I am a working person as well, and I need to feed my child. But what we need to stop and pause and think is that this is creating long term damage. So very simple few basic tips are: engage with your children, read with them. I think this is an art which is going away. I see
Reading a
so many
book,
reading a book with the child. So
physical book.
there are so many beautiful books by authors, like now we are such a global country, we get everything in India, and many of the things are affordable as well. So order a book, which read a review, get a book, read it with your child, have the habit. So I think reading a book is a beautiful activity. Playing hands on with the child, indulging in sensory activities like gardening or playing with water, or doll play, role
Yeah.
play with small
Yeah.
things. Not making it a very big expensive affair. Just take the pots and pans out with toddlers. They would definitely prefer a pressure cooker over a fancy doll any day. I have seen so many toddlers in my life, and I know they like, keep it real, keep it real with
Yeah.
children. And that's how they develop the language. because you want them to speak functional vocabulary.
Yeah.
Every day-to-day words they want to learn. And so, have sensory activities and games with them, spend time with them, narrate things with them. How much are you actually giving to your child? Are you telling stories from your childhood? I see it as a very, very simple tool.
Yeah.
अपने बचपन के बारे में बताओ बच्चों को. Take out your old photographs and talk about, we did this during that trip. Small sentences depending on the child's age. Involve them in simple activities like grocery shopping. So one very common, very simple activity example can be, prepare a grocery list with your child. So, for example, if the child cannot write, he can still draw, or he can still communicate with you at 2 years
Yeah.
of age. Take out a piece of paper, write down, okay, we are going to buy this, draw pictures of maybe a banana and, an apple, cauliflower, whatever, milk, and take that list, put it in his pocket, take him to the shop, make it interactive, ask him to take out the grocery list, let the child choose those items from
Mm.
the grocery store, put them in the basket, go to the billing counter, let him pay, bring it
Beautiful.
back,
Yeah.
keep all the items back in the proper place. If there's vegetables, wash them, and involve the child in such simple activities of shopping or doing laundry. And then at the time when you're doing it, talk to the child, add on simple words and build on the sentences and vocabulary. Choti si cheez, but it is so
So powerful.
effective.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm sure. I mean, I'm not a mother, but I'm just feeling good listening to this, and I'm having like visuals of kids doing it.
Yes,
Um,
they would. I have seen and I've done this with all of children whom I see in
yeah.
therapy. We've done and we've given suggestions to parents to involve them in day-to-day activities. In laundry also, separating the laundry, whose clothes are these, and then making piles and then counting
Yeah.
them and things like that. So I think keeping it real is my mantra. Keep it real. Involve the things around you. Does your child know where you keep dal and chawal in your
Yeah.
house? That is a question mark that all parents can ask today if they are watching this live or the
Or they're
recording.
gonna, yeah, yeah,
So
absolutely. I think this is a
if
very,
your
very good
child,
question.
if your toddler or your 3-4 year old can tell कि दाल चावल कहाँ रखते हैं, then you've hit the
You've
spot.
mastered the communication
Because
part.
you've given that language to the child, you've
Yeah.
involved them in day-to-day activities, and it is so important to group kids like
Yeah.
that.
I mean, when you say this, what I'm seeing a lot, Pratiksha, is the restriction mindset. So while you say that your child can tell ki dal kahan hai, chawal kahan hai, or the child is getting, he's using physical things and he's getting attracted. Like I have a 2.5-year-old nephew, and he literally loves the slippers. I mean, he's going
Huh.
to collect and he's going to keep all the slippers no matter what toy you keep. And it's so cute because he's trying to establish that connect, and we don't understand what he's trying to do. So that's very cute, and I've seen kids doing this and using a pressure cooker versus any
A
other,
fancy toy.
any other expensive toy.
Always, always.
Yeah,
They'll
always.
always
I've
pick.
seen my 2.5-year-old nephew doing that, and it's really very cute. And okay, coming back to the restriction mindset that I've seen parents doing more of कि इसको मत touch करो
हाँ,
या don't do this, right? Oh, this is dirty, don't do this. ये दाल को गिरा दोगे, don't do this. चावल को गिरा दोगे, don't do this. So I see a lot of the don't do this, or like no, not, don't, a
yeah,
lot in their vocabulary, and they have a very high pitch when they are telling this to their kids, right? That don't, mat
yeah.
karo. So this becomes like a very high pitch when the child is trying to do that. So what do you think could be a better effective way to talk and tell the child that this is something which will harm you, versus this is something that's okay, there's nothing going to happen, it's just that you learn from this, it's okay, you'll fall down but you'll learn from this. So what is a
Absolutely.
better way to communicate it to your child? Because I think that somewhere the restriction mindset, the fear of different things is developing in these kids, which later on comes in like a big fear and big traumas in life. How do you
Yeah.
think kids can deal with it?
Yes, I agree. Firstly, I agree with you that I see this myself. a lot happening around me as a parent as well as a professional. So there are a lot of parents who put restrictions on their kids because ultimately I think they are scared
Yeah.
that their work is going to increase. So my first input would be to ask yourself and understand the fact that by restricting your child, you are actually restricting the exposure to learn from mistakes. So अगर उसने कुछ किया और कुछ गिर गया तो he will learn it himself because you will get an opportunity to tell him, see, if you do it like this, the consequence is this. But if you're just saying ऐसा मत करो, the child is not understanding the why behind it. So let them make a mistake firstly and let them see for themselves so that they get, you should not make the child devoid of that exposure firstly. And secondly, again, as a parent, I think we need to think what is good in long term for our kids versus or constantly telling them no, 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 don't do this, don't do that. The child, I'm sure, if they understand and if they are cognitively able to understand the consequences, they would stop doing the mischievous things.
Let them take their call, let them use their instincts to see. I mean, of course, it's very tough for mothers, parents to see their child go through or get hurt, but I think sometimes that is also important because
Yes.
because if you don't allow them to make mistakes, and it can be as simple as कि एक pottery वाला जो garden वाला जो है उस पे हाथ मत डालो, you know. I mean, if you rather tell them that probably this is something that you can put your hand in, and जब आप बाहर जाओगे, that's not safe for you.
Yes.
Then I think, you know, if we are telling them both the sides,
Yes.
it just helps the child understand a lot of things, and it's just helping them get better is what I see. So do you have any real life examples? I mean, you are a mother, Pratiksha, and do you have any real life examples of the patients of your own kids where you were also doing certain things in a particular way which you thought is the right for your kids or for your patients, but then you probably realize that this is not the most effective way, I have to try something else? So you have some real life examples that, you know, parents can connect to and understand that, you know, it's normal, all of us are going through this, we just have to understand and learn how to get better.
Yes, so all of us are going through that. That's absolutely true. And I've been working in this field for a very long time, since 2002 now, and I'm a mother of two. I've seen that now my kids are grown up, but I've seen a lot of all these stages. So one thing that has really worked with my children who come to me in therapy and my own kids is storytelling and something called as social stories. Okay, so you can Google up also and find what are social stories. Social stories are chota stories which describe the event, what happened, and what are the consequences. So we use it a lot with children who are delayed, in their milestones, and who probably are communication delayed, or they are, cognitively delayed. So we use social stories in which an action is given in a form of a cartoon or a story, and the consequence is explained, and we read those stories again and again by using good voice and simple language. And when that thing happens in real life, we tend to correlate things. So social stories help a lot when you want to explain certain things and your kids are not listening to you. So you can try that out.
Wow, this is a new thing for me. Although I keep saying that, you know, human beings connect more to stories. And it's more likely that they will listen to you more if you're telling it in a form of a story or an example. But the social stories is really something which is interesting. I'm going to Google it up too. I've learned something from this live. That's super. Now, quickly, I mean, we have a couple of questions on the live also, but I quickly want to touch upon two things. Is we mentioned about virtual autism, and I'm not aware about it a lot. So if you can shed some light on it, and what are the practical tips and suggestions you will, if you have to give like 5 suggestions, you can give it more, but if you have to give 5 suggestions to the parents, caregivers, that, you know, what is it, how we can avoid it, what signs to look for, when do you know that you need to start taking professional help?
Yes. So virtual autism has become a rage these days. We are in our practice, we are seeing a lot of children who've been diagnosed
Hmm.
with virtual autism. So virtual autism, as the name suggests, is a child having autistic features because of excessive screen time. And there are so here I'd like to tell you what are the autistic features which are
Yes.
sort of red flags. So first is, child having delayed speech and language, not showing interest in communication. Then most importantly, social behavioral connect is not in a very typical way. So children are
Hmm.
withdrawn, they are by themselves, they want to stay alone, they are not looking at you, not making eye to eye contact while they want something. Then their behavioral difficulties are in terms of that they are repetitive in what they are doing. So classic autism symptoms include where the child is has something called as RRIB, or repetitive and restricted interests and behaviors. So they want the
Hmm.
same things, they are repeating the words again and again, something we call as echolalia. Their vocabulary is very limited, and they are clingy to only certain toys, certain things. They don't want to explore and take interest in new activities or in new types of stimuli around them. So that is the repetitive interests and behaviors. And some other features of virtual autism also include lack of social interaction, where the child does not want to be connected with children his or her age or with the peers around. And obviously communication is, there is a huge gap. So these are the general features of autism. And when it happens, there are a lot of studies which say that if a child is exposed to more than 4 hours of screen time in a day, they are very likely to develop speech language delays and maybe some symptoms of virtual autism also. but
Oh my God.
but there's a huge but here. If the child has been diagnosed with virtual autism, it can be reversed. It's
Okay.
not classic autistic
Correct.
child. So that's the silver lining, that it can be reversed. The child's
Correct.
vocabulary can be expanded, his social interaction can be worked upon, his other behaviors of communication, making eye contact and attention span, all those can also be improved with therapy. So if you feel your child is showing any of such symptoms or features, then we've developed a screening test at one special place. There are three, four, in fact, there are many screening tests, but for specifically for autism and speech language delays and things like that, we'll probably leave a link in the comment
Yeah.
section,
I
where
think we
this
have
is
to
a
list
free
down the
screening test.
symptoms.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And you can take that free screening test to see and check if your child has a speech language delay or autism. And if yes, then it's time to get a detailed assessment done. I think the first thing is always a test. Na आपको अगर कोई बीमारी
Yeah.
होती है आप टेस्ट
Yeah.
करवाते हैं. The same thing, get an evaluation done, get a diagnosis, and then start the intervention without any delay.
Further
I see a
delay.
lot of parents waiting and watching still. A lot of doctors these days, I feel they don't know about various things, so they also tell, नहीं अभी तो 2 years का है, 3 years का बच्चा है, ठीक है, थोड़ा books पढ़िए, screen time कम कीजिए, बोलने लग जाएगा. But I think that's also not heading anywhere. So I think
Yeah,
parents
it's like
should.
half knowledge. Yeah, I mean, there's
Yes,
something that has to be done, and that's the reason why, Pratiksha, I thought that we need to do this. We need to spread awareness. I mean, I'm sure we can do only a bit of it, but at least
absolutely.
after this live, after people see the recording, they understand that kuch to karna hai. Like at least let's take the first step, even if you guys understood nothing or you understood everything. You at least know that this is not normal, and you need to take the first step. So
Yes,
thank you, Pratiksha, for listing that out. It's very important.
thank
I
you.
think we can do a post on this so that the
Yes,
patients can and
we
the
should.
parents can understand, and we can post the link also. So guys, I will be posting this link, whatever the Pratiksha is going to send it to me, and this is very, very important. Do you suggest any resources, or do you suggest any books, or websites that the parents can actually go to refer, or maybe if you do some kind of group sessions, just for understanding,
Yes.
where people can reach out to you.
Yes, absolutely. So, there are various ways in which you can have a good experience with screen time. Let's
Hmm.
put it like that. So, you can make a screen time plan. There are various books and resources. There's this book called The Tech Wise Family. If you're interested, you can get a copy for yourself. And there are various other books on speech language development. So, at One Special Place, what we are doing is we are making all that information simpler for our Indian audience. So you can follow us on Instagram or on Facebook, whichever platform you prefer. We have a full-fledged website where we are doing various community events and very very active in sharing information and creating a community. So you can log on to our website. There are various articles that talk about speech language development, screen time, mental health, simple ideas to develop language at home. We have various courses, videos, podcasts. We have a lot that we are all hands into, and our Instagram handle is very actively updated. Parents, if you are interested, you can reach out to our team on onespecialplace.com or on our Instagram handle, One Special Place. We're always ready and eager to help new parents understand how speech and language development is so crucial, because it lays a foundation for academic health, how a
Yeah.
child goes to school. Absolutely, and also becoming a confident speaker and an independent person. So it all starts from that initial 0 to 5
Yeah.
years, when a child is able to communicate, speak properly, and be a mindful partner in your life. So I hope that this added value to all our listeners and viewers. And you can also log on to the American Academy of Pediatrics website. um, you'll find all these guidelines on screen time very explicitly written, and you can make a screen time plan for your family.
That's so beautiful, and we need resources. And Pratiksha is also an award-winning speech therapist and an audiologist, and that's where I met her. I'm so happy I met her at that time. Now let's quickly take up the questions which our viewers have
Yes.
posted here. Um, there's Tulsi. Hi, Tulsi. She's saying that children with autism aren't advised to use mobiles and TV. This is what I have heard. Is your online therapy not harmful for kids as it's through online mode? That's a good question, Pratiksha. I think a lot of our viewers might have that question.
Yeah. So
So
everybody asks this, and
yes,
I've answered it thousands of times. So I think one basic misunderstanding that we have about screen time is, oh, screen dekh rahe hain, to there's a delay. No, it's about passive watching. You know,
hmm,
you are in the kitchen and the child is in the TV room or in the bedroom watching on the phone. It's called as passive viewing of the screen.
hmm.
Whereas when you are taking therapy through a telehealth platform, it's not passive watching. The therapist is interacting with you. The therapist is teaching you.
Ah,
The
correct.
therapist is working on your challenges. The therapist is involving the parent to do certain activities with you. The therapist is giving you therapy for your shortcomings.
Correct.
So it is actually medical help that you are being provided. So we have tons of researches which have been published, which show that teletherapy and actual therapy have the same effects.
Wow. Okay.
Yes, and for autism also, these are very not one. So many studies have been done which show the importance and the significance benefits of telepractice or online therapy. Because the biggest advantage that we have is that the parent is sitting with the child, whereas in a normal regular setup, the parent leaves the child in the center and goes away.
Ah,
I have done that.
that's true. That's a
I
very
have
valid point.
run I have run a center in Noida for a long time. I was a very packed, busy therapist so many years ago. And I know how parents used to, how much interaction was happening.
Yeah.
They would just leave the child and go for shopping. I mean, if you're looking at it like that, so there's a lot of research that goes into saying that a parent also has to be an equal member in therapy. Then only they will use those principles and learnings during the day-to-day interaction
Yeah.
with the child.
It's also
Therapy
the
is only
bonding
45
time,
minutes.
right? It's also
Therapy
bonding and communication time with your kid.
Therapy is only 45 minutes long. It's not screen time through online method.
Correct.
The hours on 45 minutes to 1 hour maximum. And that too twice a week, thrice a week. That's not
Correct.
screen time. Screen time is the child watching YouTube
Visual
without any.
content.
Yes. And here we are doing hands-on activities. Here we are playing. Here we are talking, learning new words, interacting with the mother who otherwise would not sit with you. So it's different.
That's correct. Yeah, I mean, you're talking, right? You're not just visually getting some
It's
content
not
out and
passive watching of
yeah,
content.
absolutely. Super. So I hope that answers your questions. We'll see if you still have any question. You can always reach out to either me or
Absolutely.
I think Pratiksha is a better person to answer this. I'm not equipped to do this. Vidyakar said I have a 3.5-year-old, and I think the question was incomplete. Vidyakar, if you can type your entire question, we can probably take this up. Otherwise, you can reach out to us offline as well, and we'll take it. Kabir is saying that I agree. The parental control by internet provider and mobile companies should be more strict. I agree. They pull tantrums in front of parents if they don't get to see TV mobile. I think we did cover this, and this was one of the most important questions. He has another question. Do you think the YouTube and Twitch streamers are influencing kids? I mean, the language they use and the content they make, even kids' poems and stories are being made every day. So, do you think that the YouTube is actually influencing kids?
100%. It is influencing kids in a very large way, and the makers know that. That is why they are making more and more content. If you open any children's YouTube channel, you will see that it garners millions of views. It attracts millions of views because the child is repeatedly watching it day in day out, every time while eating, sitting, going out in the car, everywhere. And the makers, they know it because they earn ad money through their number of views being increased on YouTube. So
Correct.
it's definitely having an influence. But what as parents we need to understand is, are we co-viewing it? क्या हम उनके साथ में देख रहे हैं? क्या हमें पता है कि वो क्या देख रहे हैं? Do we know what our children are watching on YouTube? Okay, there's something called as YouTube Kids. I think most parents will know that. There's an app called YouTube Kids, but even in that app, I have seen, not healthy content being shared, depending on what age limit you've put for
Yeah.
your child and things like that. The most important thing is that even if your child is watching something, you should be co-viewing it. Depending on if your child is below 6 years of age, you have to be very, very careful about the number of hours he or she is exposed to the screen passively watching. Use media, use technology and screens for your favor. Sit with your child. There are so many good things out there. Please use it for your benefit, not the other way around. One thing I'd quickly like to mention here, that I have seen children who are exposed to long hours of watching English YouTube channels. They start speaking like that only in that accent. Suddenly, I have so many parents tell me, oh, my child speaks in American accent. It's alarming.
It's
From where is he
alarming.
getting that American accent? Because the child is watching American YouTube videos and not interacting as much as with the parents at home or with peers.
Yeah.
So that's
I have
one.
kids talking in songs.
Yes.
Kids talk in
Yes.
songs. I mean, they're able to talk in songs better than
क्योंकि
they're able to frame a sentence.
उनका language ही वही है ना. The source of their language is that. The source is not coming from the family members. The family members are not talking enough because the child is just passively watching one-sidedly.
Yeah,
So that is a problem.
that's sad. So quickly, Pratiksha, the last 5 things that you would like to suggest our viewers, some practical tips, suggestions, how to come out of this whole silent epidemic that's actually going on before we sign off for today.
Okay, great. So quickly to sum up, number one, be mindful about what you're watching, what your child is watching. If the child is exposed to more than 1 hour of screen time a day, then you need to rework that time. Number two, if your child is below the age of 2 years, please reduce screen time as much as possible. Get hands on, get dirty, get real, play with your child, talk to your child, read with your child. Number three, if you feel that your child is showing any symptoms or signs of speech language delay, then you must visit a professional. Waiting and watching should not be an approach that should be taken up. You must consult a professional when you feel your child has a delayed speech and language. Number four, screen time is good if you are very careful about your choice and the number of hours you spend. Don't make it passive, make it interactive, and use technology to your benefit. And number five would be, let children be children, get involved, be a good role model. And it's important that we also are mindful about our practices with screen time, because children, they learn from us the most.
Yeah, we mirror our kids. So if there's something not okay with our kids, I think we should start self-reflection, and that helps. Thank you so much, Pratiksha. I think this was one of the most informative sessions that I have done, because honestly, I was not aware about it a lot. So when I was a student here when you were talking, but my viewers, anybody who's going to watch this recording later on, if you guys have any questions, please feel free to reach Pratiksha. She's all over the place. She's on social media. You just type her name and you'll actually get it. But I'm also going to be posting the links of whatever we discussed. One special screening test about virtual autism. So I'll make sure that it's available on my page. And parents, if you have any more questions, you can send it to me, and I'm very happy to discuss it with Pratiksha. So thank you so much, Pratiksha, for joining us for today. And
Absolutely.
I have enjoyed this session thoroughly, and I'm looking forward to doing a lot more of these education sessions so that we just help this world get a better place here.
Absolutely. Thank you, Dr. Trishla. It was a pleasure being here, and thanks to all the viewers. If there's any concern, you are welcome to DM us or on our personal, on our One Special Place handle, and we'll be happy to help you.
Yeah. Super. So sorry, Pratiksha, Vidyakar has just finished his question. I think we can take it very quickly. Is my 3.5-year-old, I have a 3.5-year-old, and he's addicted to mobile and behaves very aggressively when we stop him. Kindly suggest how to deal with this situation. I think we did cover a lot of this, but maybe if you can just sum it up in a line.
Quickly. So, obviously the child needs to first, take it as a very big thing and break it down into small things. So what you can start by doing is that first, when the child is listening to you attentively, when you are hugging him or cuddling him, because he's very young, we can have something called as a no screen zone in the house. Okay, and it starts with you as a parent. So aap khud bolo that this is the area I am not going to use my phone in this room. So we need to start small. Educate the child that there is something called as a no screen zone or a no screen place in the house, where the parent or the family members, caregivers, children, no one is allowed to have a phone. Then have a no screen time in place. So when somebody goes to that room, you start with 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, increase it gradually, increase the no screen time. And ensure that when you are in that room, you are very happy, you are playing with your child, and doing some meaningful activities which the child likes to do. It could be playing, reading, singing, dancing, anything. Other than that, also make a sort of a routine where the child is, you have something called a no screen time, like in terms of meal times. So okay, on Sundays in lunch, none of us will have our phones along with us. Start it one day, increase from 5 minutes, go up till 10 minutes, then 15 minutes. Slowly you have to gradually build upon this time where the child is doing something more interesting and not watching the screen. You have to give your time to invest your time to make this happen. And we have done this with many parents. So try these 2, 3 things. Have a screen time plan, and I'm sure his aggressive behavior will slowly start coming down. And meaningful conversations can be encouraged.
Super. Thank you so much, Pratiksha. Hope that helps Vidyakar and many other parents who are actually going through this. If you guys have any other questions, feel free to reach Pratiksha offline, and I'm sure you can set up a session and take this forward. Thank you so much, Pratiksha. Thank you for being here on a Friday evening, and I hope you have a great weekend.
Thank you so much, Trishla. Have a good day, good evening, and
Take care.
bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.
It was lovely talking to all of you. Bye-bye.
Same here.
Thank you.
Bye.